Hola, bienvenidos. In today's video, we're going to talk about this specific verb, the verb ser. Let's take a look. So ser is unique because it's what we call an irregular verb, and there's quite a few irregular verbs, but we're just going to focus on this one today. What is an irregular verb? Well, it's unique, it's abnormal. These verbs don't follow patterns, therefore they just need to be memorized as far as what their conjugations are individually. You've probably seen regular verbs before. By that I mean AR, ER, IR verbs. So if I give you hablar, you could conjugate it. Comer, you could conjugate it. Vivir, you could conjugate it, because those verbs follow a pattern. They're regular verbs. But ser is irregular, so it does not follow a pattern. It just simply needs to be memorized. Now the verb ser means to be. How are we going to conjugate this? Well, very carefully. To say I am, we would say yo soy. To say you are, we would say tú eres, if we're talking to one person and they're our friend. If we want to say he or she is, él or ella es. And if we want to say you are formal, usted es. If we want to say we are, nosotros or nosotras, somos. Y'all are in Spain, so you, but informal and plural for a group. Vosotros or vosotras, sois. No accent, it's too short. Ellos, ellas, so they are. Ellos, ellas son. Or ustedes for a group, for you are. Ustedes son. That's how we conjugate this verb ser. And again, it's to be, so it's the am, are, is that we use in English. Yo soy, tú eres, él, ella, usted es, nosotros somos, vosotros sois, ellos, ellas, ustedes son. Those are the conjugations. You just need to memorize them. Some people like the sound of saying the repetition of the conjugations quickly, and that helps you keep in mind how they should be. For example, soy, eres, es, somos, sois, son. Saying them to a little rhythm like that might be helpful. It's worth noting here that Spanish is a very specific language, and there's lots of words that are used in only certain situations. Ser is one of them. So there is more than one way to say to be in Spanish. For now, we're just focusing on ser. When do we use ser? Well, I like to use acronyms to help me remember things. So all the uses of ser are right here in a list, and they spell out the made-up word doctore. Doctore. So we've got descriptions, occupations, characteristics, time or date, origin, relationship, events. Whenever these pop up and you're trying to use is, am, or are in the present tense, that's when ser is going to be used, and those conjugations we just saw will come into play. So let's see an example of each of these. Yo soy alto. I am tall. Am is coming from soy for our conjugation. Descriptions are something you can see. This adjective means tall. You can see that someone is tall. So yo soy alto, that would use ser. Occupation. So just a fancy word to say job. Soy profesora. I'm a teacher or professor. Now I'm just stating my job, so I would use ser. Characteristics. That's something that has to do with personality. Soy simpática. I am nice. That would be a personality trait. So description is something you can see. Characteristics are something you would have to interact with the person to know about them. Alright, now time and date. Son las tres. So it's 3 o'clock. Anytime you're stating the time, like someone asks you, oh, what time is it? That would need ser. You also need it for anything to do with the date, so stating the full date, the day of the week, the month, things like that. So es lunes is it is Monday. Now, you're going to ask, well, Senora, where's the it? There's no actual word for it here. It's just built into this conjugation. It's implied. So when we want to say it is, we just say es. Es lunes. Origin means where something's from. So it could be a person, like soy de Puerto Rico, I'm from Puerto Rico. Or you could even say I'm Puerto Rican. That would be the same setup for origin. Or even ownership. So like if something belongs to someone else, we would use ser for that. So like if I find a random book and I want to know whose it is, I'd say, ¿de quién es? Whose is it? So that would be origin as well. If we want to talk about any sort of relationships, so like your friendships or your family, that's going to use ser also. For example, soy su amiga, I am his or her friend. So that would be an example of a relationship. Now, event. That's the one that throws people a little bit. So for anything where you could substitute to take place, but you could see how that would align with an event, then we would use ser as well. So, el concierto es en el auditorio. So the concert is taking place in the auditorium. So again, if you could insert to take place instead of is, then you're going to use ser because that falls under an event category. So again, doctore, something else to memorize, but hopefully it'll help you keep ser straight and when to use it. If you remember this, it'll help you because later on you'll continue to build on ser. So description, occupation, characteristics, time or date, origin, relationship, event. Basically, these are all things that come from to be, and they're less likely to change or more difficult to change. That's when we use the verb ser. All right, that's the verb ser. Thank you for joining us. Now, remember that you need to memorize this conjugation because ser is irregular. It doesn't follow the normal conjugation patterns. So first step, memorize those conjugations. How do you get I am, you are, he is, etc.? Then think about when to use ser. If doctore works for you, great. That's an excellent acronym to start practicing with, so you know when ser should be used. Gracias, buena suerte, y nos vemos.